Hello everyone. This video is the continuation of the previous video, which was about misplaced modifiers. Now we are going to learn a little tricky aspect of English grammar, the tenses. Tenses, we have a problem even while we are speaking, while writing too. We face a lot of difficulty using the right tense. Sometimes we get confused with tenses. So I'll try and explain tenses in a very easy method so that you'll be able to follow it. Everything is here in your textbook. Please read it to understand it better. Alright? Okay. So on page number 64, you have task 6. Task 6. We are done with task 4 and 5 in the previous video. Look at task 6 now. Here it says, identify whether the underlined verbs are in the present, the past or in the future. You have to only identify whether they are past tense, present tense or future tense. This is very simple. Now look at the sentence here. The earth goes around the sun. The earth goes around the sun. When you have to identify a tense of a given sentence, the first thing that you have to identify is the verb. Look at the verb, and the verb will easily be able to tell you what is the tense of particular sentence. Now the verb in this sentence is goes. Goes. The earth goes around the sun. Now goes is present tense, isn't it? Present tense. We went to Agra yesterday. Look at the verb went now. Went is past tense. Then I will become a pilot. Will become means in future. That is future tense. And then I wrote a letter to Saira last week. Wrote past tense. And then Shikha visits the library frequently. Visits, the verb again. Visits is present tense. So very simple to locate the tenses here in these sentences. Now let's go in detail. Let's look at present tense first. Now here we look at simple present or just present tense. Now for every tense you have a few examples given here. So for the present tense here, the example, the usage is given here. Where do you use present tense? Okay, where do you use present tense? You use them when you are speaking about universal facts and generalizations, for which the example is given here. Universal facts and generalizations. The earth revolves around the sun. Universally accepted fact. The earth revolves around the sun. In the previous video, if you remember, we thought it was the sun revolves around the earth, but it is actually the earth revolving around the sun. It is a universal truth. It is a general fact acceptable by everyone. Another example is the sky is blue. Yeah, universal. Everybody knows that the sky is blue, isn't it? Okay. The next one. Proverbs and sayings which are believed to be true always. Simple present tense is used in proverbs and sayings which are believed to be true. Example, honesty is the best policy. A stitch in time saves 9. Alright, see, they are all using present tense. What did I say you should look at? You should look at the verb in order to identify the tense. The next one. Things we do regularly or general habits and practices. Regularly, we all do certain things regularly, isn't it? Or general practices. What are they? I travel by bus every day. I live in Hyderabad. I brush my teeth every day. I sleep at 9 o'clock every day in the night. So whatever you do every day, regular habits, whichever you do every day, that is the place where you use present tense. And the next one. Okay. A person's profession, abilities at present. At present, what is your profession? What are your abilities? When you are trying to tell them, you use the present tense. Example. Sania plays tennis. Okay, but that is what she is doing right now. That's her profession also. Our yoga instructor is a real taskmaster. Okay, a real taskmaster is their ability. Yeah, real taskmaster, which means he is very strict. He will never allow you to relax. You must do your yoga, honestly, regularly. So that's how it's talking about his ability. Now go to the next page. Here it talks about instructions or directions, usually with words like first, second, later. When you're using first, second, later, during giving, while giving instructions, you use the present tense. Example, you take the yellow metro and get off at Roger Chowk, then take the green line and get off at the Kali temple stop. So when you are using such words, you usually use the present tense. And then commentaries, historic narratives. Now commentary, when does a commentary happen? It happens live. When live, the matches are on, the commentator is giving his commentary. So when something is happening right in front of you, present situation, you use a present tense, right? Example, the batsman hits the ball for a six, the bowler looks just helpless. All these are in present tense because it is happening live in front of him. And then historic narratives, something that happened in history. On 1st September, Germany invades Poland. On 3rd September, Britain, France, Australia and New Zealand declare war on Germany. So, past historic narratives are also used with the present tense. Then the next one. Events in future which are certain to happen, usually a word indicating the future time is used. Okay, now the example is, my train leaves at 6 p.m. It is going to happen in the future. Now it is 5. At 6 p.m. his train is going to leave. So my train leaves at 6 p.m. And then my wife's birthday falls on Friday next year. Okay, so something that's going to happen in the future. Such sentences also you can use the present tense. And then present continuous. Now look at the next tense, which is present continuous. The 7 explanations which were given to you were instances and situations where you can use the simple present tense. So I want you to read it thoroughly, read the examples, try relating the tense with the examples and understand how present tense is used in different situations, events and scenarios. Okay, let's go to present continuous now. Present continuous, ongoing events at the moment. Right now something is happening. You will use present continuous there. Okay, they are discussing the matter now. They are discussing the matter now. Discussing, when you have the ing form, very easy to identify a continuous tense. If you have an ing form, it is a continuous tense. Now the tense depends on the verb. Okay, what was the verb and how is the ing form used? Looking at the verb and the ing form, you decide whether it is present continuous, past continuous or future continuous. Alright, so here they are discussing the matter now. We are discussing the tenses now, isn't it? That is present continuous. And then the next one, temporary practices, something which is temporary, time being practices. Example is, my brother is living with me now, but he will soon move out. Temporary. Right now he is living with me, but very soon he is going to move out. So when you are talking about temporary actions, you will use continuous tense, present continuous tense. And then she is working on this project at the moment. At the moment, which means right now she is working on it. Tomorrow she might start working on a different project. So this is temporary. So in such instances where you are talking about temporary events and situations, you can use present continuous tense. And then look at the next one. Gradually changing events. Gradually, slowly. Slowly there is a change in events. Now what is that example is given here? My grandmother is recovering slowly after her surgery. Recovery does not happen instantly, right? It happens slowly, gradually. So when you are talking about events that are happening gradually, you will use the present continuous. Now the example that is given here is, my grandmother is recovering slowly after her surgery. Okay? And then the next one. Plans and arrangements made for the future, usually words indicating future time. So you have events and programs planned for the future, and you are talking about the future time in your sentences. In such sentences also you can use present continuous tense. Example is, we are moving to Visakhapatnam next year. So here, what's happening? When are you moving to Visakhapatnam? Not now, not tomorrow, not next month. You are moving next year. So events which are going to happen, okay, in the past, in the future, you can talk about it in present continuous. And then these are the explanations for present continuous. Now let's look at present perfect. Perfect means something that is done, finished. That is where you use the perfect tense. Now look at the examples here. Experience, experiences till date. We often use general time expressions like ever, never, before, in my life, so far, up until now. So all these words and expressions are used when you are using the present perfect tense. Example is, this is the worst film I have watched so far. You finish watching it, isn't it? You're done. This is the worst film I have watched so far. Now here, as I said, something that is done, finished, you use a present perfect tense. Perfect is done. Okay, you have to remember that. The next example is, now here the word that they have used is, this is the worst film I have watched so far. So far. This is the worst film I have ever watched. You can even use the word ever there. Watched, perfect, done, right? The next one. A recently completed event. You can use perfect, present perfect even in this instance. Nikhil and Nitin have just come back from their trip abroad. Now, what is the situation given here? A recently completed event, something that recently occurred. What is that? Nikhil and Nitin have just come back from their trip abroad. They had been abroad and they just came back. So, recently completed event. Even then, you can use the present perfect tense. Now, the other scenarios of using present perfect tense is an event completed in the past but has reverence for the present. That event has been done in the past but you're talking about in the present. For example, my friend has lost his identity card. He has not found it yet. My friend has lost his identity card, which means yesterday. Simple example. My friend lost his identity card yesterday. Now today I am talking about it. He has not found it. So something that happened yesterday and you're talking about it in present, you can use the present perfect tense. And then a situation that began at a specific time in the past and is still continuing at the moment. We often use the prepositions for to refer to the duration and since to refer to the starting point with time expressions. When you are using for and since with time expressions, you can use simple present perfect tense or present perfect tense. The example here is, she has lived in Ranchi for 3 years. She has lived in Ranchi for 3 years. Lived. As I said, something which is done. Okay. And then, Kiran has been here since 2 p.m. Been. He has been there for since 2 p.m. Fine. And then the last one is present perfect continuous. Something that is done, finished and has an ing form in it. Okay, that is present perfect continuous. An activity that began at a point in the past and is still continuing. Alright, here it says, she has been writing her autobiography since 2013. From 2013, she is still writing. She has been, which means she started long back and she is continuing writing it. So as I said, something that has been done, which means she has started writing and it is still continuing from 2013. And finally, the last situation, repeated continuous events. Continually, if there are many events or occasions, what do you use here? The company has been introducing new models of cars almost every month since 2015. Something that has been happening continually every month from the year 2015. Now what's happening here? The company is coming up with new models of car every month from 2015, which means this event hasn't stopped after 1 or 2 months, after 1 year. From 2015, every month they are coming up with a new car. So in such situations, you can use the present perfect continuous. Is this clear? So these are present tense, tenses, present tense which is spoken in different situations and different events. You learned about present tense, present perfect tense, present perfect continuous tense. Alright? And then now let's do the exercises which are given in task 7 and 8, and then we'll stop with this. Okay. Identify the tense forms of the underlined verbs in these sentences. Now you have to identify which tense are these sentences in. Now here, how long have you known Ajay? Known, something that is done, right? Present perfect tense. That is the first sentence. The second sentence, I have been cleaning the house all morning. She started in the morning and she's cleaning even now. What does that mean? Present, started, perfect, continuous. She's doing it even now. Present, perfect, continuous tense. Right? The next one. The students are writing their annual exams. Writing, ing form. They are doing it now. What is it? Present, continuous tense. Right. And the next one. We have seen this film already. Done. It's done. What is it? Present, perfect tense. Right. And then kangaroos live in Australia. Live in Australia. My brother is living with me now, but very soon he will move. Right. Which is present tense. Right. Present tense. Kangaroos live in Australia is present tense. We live in Hyderabad is present tense, isn't it? So it's as simple as that. Now look at task 8. Task 8 is quite simple for you to do because the helping verb is already given there. Fill in the blanks using the correct present tense form of the verbs given in brackets. The first sentence is, every Sunday, Suma drives her children to the park. Every Sunday, Suma drives her children to the park. Now the word drive is given there. You have to use the appropriate form of the verb. So every Sunday, Suma drives her children to the park. The second sentence is, this is the best novel I dash so far. And what is there in brackets? You have read. Now read and read have the same spelling. Now here, this is the best novel that you can't say read, that I read so far. That I have read so far. That is the correct form of the verb there. Fine. Next one. You cannot meet any of the faculty members now. They dash a meeting. In brackets you have the word attend. So what are they doing? Very good. That's right. They are attending a meeting. Alright. They are attending a meeting. The next one. Raghu dash in Banaras Hindu University for 2 years now. And the word in brackets is study. So what is the appropriate verb form that you will use? Raghu has been studying in Banaras Hindu University. Raghu has been studying. Alright. The next one. Throughout this semester, Reema dash her assignments on time. So her professor appreciated her, and in brackets you have submit. So what do you think is the right sentence here? Throughout this semester, Reema has submitted her assignments on time. So her professor appreciated her. So you have to not just change the verb, but you also have to use the correct verb form. Use the correct verb form with the verbs given there, and correct the sentences. Write the sentences in the correct form. Okay, I'm not going to do past tense now. I'm going to do it in my next video. But let's review simple present tense once again. The first item that we spoke about was present tense. Simple present or just present tense. Present tense is universal facts and generalizations. You use present tense when you talk about universal facts, proverbs and sayings, which are believed to be true always, things we do regularly or general habits and practices. Okay, we have seen the examples there. I really want you to read the examples and match the tense and the situation given there. The next is when you're speaking about a person's profession, abilities at present, and then you use present tense when giving instructions or directions using the words like first, second, later. And then we have commentaries, historic narratives. In all these situations, you use the present tense. And then events in future. When you're talking about events in the future, even then you can use a present tense. And then coming to the present continuous tense. What did I say continuous is? When you look at the ing form for the verb, it is understood that is in the continuous tense. But you have to look at the verb too. is the verb in the present or the past tense, to talk about it as present continuous tense. Now here you talk about you use the present continuous tense when you are talking about ongoing events at the moment, temporary practices, gradually changing events, plans and arrangements made for the future. Alright, in these instances you use the present continuous tense. The next is present perfect. Where would you use? Now you have to remember another thing that is that goes with the tense perfect. Perfect means something that is done. It has begun some time ago and you're talking about it. That is, something that is done is spoken about in the present perfect tense. Example is experiences till date. We often use general time expressions like, ever, never, before, and so on. The next instance of using present perfect tense is a recently completed event. The event that started in the past but it finished now. Recently it was done. You can use present perfect there. And then you can use in situations where an event completed in the past but has relevance in the present. It is already done in the past but you're talking about it in the present. In such situations also you can use present perfect tense. And in a situation that began at a specific time in the past and is still continuing at the moment. Okay, so this is an incident which actually started in the past and it is still continuing. Yeah, I started writing my notes yesterday and I'm still writing. I started writing my notes yesterday and I'm still writing. I haven't completed it so far. Okay, this is again something that started in the past and it is continuing even now in the present. And then we have present perfect continuous. Present perfect continuous tense. What is present perfect continuous tense? You will see that something is done and it is continuing. Okay, example is an activity that began at a point in the past and is still continuing. And then repeated continuous events, something that is happening continually, there is no break, it is happening in the past and it is continuing. Now an example which is given here is new models of cars are being, the company has been introducing new models of cars almost every month since 2015. So they started coming up with new models of car in the year 2015, and every month from the year 2015 till date they are continuing to bring out into the market new models of cars, right? So these are certain things that where tenses of which are present are used. So what we have learned is simple present tense, and then present continuous, present perfect, and present perfect continuous. So see, these are the four tenses that you learned according to the situations, and you learn to use the tenses in different sentences. Now I would want you to practice them. We've already done the fill in the blanks exercises here. I want you to use these tenses and use the different situations for every tense and frame sentences of your own just with simple present, present perfect continuous. Is this clear? Of all the aspects that are given in your textbook, look at the examples and frame sentences of your own, and in my next video I'm going to discuss with you past tense. Thank you.